Welcome to the College Basketball Net Profit Show, Thursday, January 26th. Ian Cameron and Conor Mack. We're back and ready to break down the Thursday college basketball card. Thursdays, usually Big Ten, a couple of games, Pac-12, a couple of games. And really, other than that, it's, a lot of Conference USA, Summit League, a lot of lower level, Colonial Athletic Association, Sun Belt. Those are the type of conferences that take over. It's Big Sky on a Thursday night. So we'll break down all of those here throughout the we'll have a lot of time for Q&A and other games because it's a short slate on the marquee games. We've only got 7 marquee games that we are discussing to begin the show. And we will begin with one of the Big Ten games tonight, Iowa against Michigan State. We've got the Spartans, 2.5 3-point home favorites here in East Lansing at the Breslin Center. The total here in this game currently 146, pretty much across the board. I think this one's an interesting matchup here because you look at Iowa, it's a team that's really gone through really highs, the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. I think that's the best way to put it with Iowa this year. Had a dreadful run late December, including an embarrassing loss to Eastern Illinois, blowout loss to Nebraska, losing to Penn State. But since then, they've turned it around, played better. 4 of their last 5 games, they've been victorious. They ended up falling flat big time at Ohio State over the weekend, a 93-77 loss. And Iowa back to being to be honest, the over team they've largely been here under Fran McCaffrey in years. We always say they're pretty good offensive team, not as great defensively. And if you actually look at the defensive game for Iowa, 2 of the last 3 games have been kind of subpar at that end of the floor. Michigan State, meanwhile, 3 losses in their last 4 games at Illinois, home loss to Purdue. They beat Rutgers at home 70-57, coming off a loss at Indiana 82-69 in their last game. As far as the injury situations are concerned, it's worth noting Tyson Walker has had a stomach bug, a flu throughout most of the week, but it does look like he's going to play through it here tonight for Michigan State. Obviously, that's significant for someone that is huge to this offense, 14.3 points per game on average this season for him. So we'll see if he is able to play it close to 100%. He's obviously going to play through it. But, I would definitely lean Michigan State here. I don't trust Iowa on the road in this spot. I like the over as well. I think it gets there, 146. So I'd look at this home favorite. I'd look at the over in this game. Conor, Iowa, Michigan State.
Yeah, real quick on the total. I mean, does Michigan State want to get kind of into a scoring, back and forth? If they do, it will go over. One thing is they're slow. They want to play more to the under, especially at home. They've been good to the under. Yeah, I think Walker's a go, all that I hear. Will he be 100? I don't know. Iowa's owned them a little bit the past couple of years. Michigan State hasn't played great, as of late. The bad loss, what was that, to Indiana?
Yep.
There. The 1-point loss at home with Purdue, I guess, wasn't that bad. At Illinois, they lost. It's just short. It's just dry. It's like, it seems all the bets are here on Michigan State. This number hasn't moved from 2.5. I think maybe it's Walker, but I think he's a go. Why hasn't this moved to 3.5?
Yep.
I'm a little shocked. But that's my look is I think it's Michigan State or pass here. I don't want Iowa on the road. They're only in it, I think, if they shoot it well. Yeah, maybe that happens. But I think Michigan State's defense is pretty solid.
Yeah, I think it definitely is. It's going to be interesting to see how it fares here. But you know what? Iowa, by the way, and another thing, too, with this total, 146, most of Iowa's games have gotten over this number, if you actually look. The only game that didn't was Rutgers. Well, Rutgers is excellent defensively, and Rutgers definitely, plays a little bit slower as well. I don't think Michigan State's as good defensively, and I think Michigan State, offensively at home, I think will score a little bit here against Iowa. Hell, Iowa, what did they give up? 93 against Ohio State. Horrible defensive effort in that game against the Buckeyes. So that's why I think there's ways for this game to get up and over the total. And I feel better about the total, honestly, than I do the side. So I've got a smaller bet on Michigan State. I feel a little bit bigger bet for me here over the total. All right, we've got next game, UCLA, USC, Pac-12 action. Rivalry game, of course, with the Bruins and the Trojans. This should be a good one here. We've got UCLA, 4.5-point road favorites, 134 the total in this game. You remember the recent meeting where I was on USC as double-digit underdogs at UCLA at Pauley Pavilion, and UCLA was rolling in that game until later in the game when USC made a furious rally in the last, I would say, probably 10 minutes of the second half. They took the lead, and then UCLA ended up escaping 60-58 with the victory in that game over USC. And they've obviously played, really good basketball. They're coming off a loss at Arizona, 58-52 over the weekend. We liked that spot. A lot of us did, including I think Cab was like in Arizona as well against UCLA on Saturday, and the Wildcats were able to get the job done in that one. I think in this spot here, with UCLA coming off the loss, it wouldn't surprise me to see them play quite well in this matchup here, taking on UCLA. And it is a short number. And UCLA off a loss against Arizona, I think they'll end up playing better. Keep in mind, they were in firm control for the extended parts of their first meeting against USC. Maybe it was complacency setting in, falling asleep with the lead. Who knows? But I think that played a part in some of the issues that UCLA had down the stretch. USC beat Arizona State 77-69 in their last game. They lost at Arizona before that, 81-66. They have been, for the most part, pretty good at home recently. Win against Auburn, 74-71 in non-conference play, 2-0 in their last two conference home games against Colorado and Utah, winning those games both straight up in ATS. Tricky number, but I will say that. But I do lean to the road favorite here, even with USC in revenge mode. I still think you've got the better team. Laying a short number off a loss. I think it's still a UCLA spot, and I still think they're a better team than USC as well. So Bruins for me if I'm getting involved in it. What do you think here, Connor?
I think that's how you take it. I mean, if you think UCLA is better, you think this is a short number, roll with them. Too many things back and forth in this one. I do think UCLA is better. SC's matched up with them well. They got good length. Both teams pretty good defensively. This number moved up and stopped, kind of came back down. I'm going to stay off the total and the side. I mean, Mick Cronin still hasn't beat SC here in this building. So I'm going to just be off. I'm going to watch this one. In the end, I didn't want to get involved. UCLA, like you mentioned, the loss to Arizona on the road. They haven't been shooting well. They're real slow. This game's probably going to have no pace between both teams here. It just depends how efficient they are, offensively, if this goes over or stays under. And, man, I wish this was a few more for SC at home. I'd like to be on them, but it's not, so I'm off.
Yeah, I do lean under as well as far as the total is concerned. We saw offense not easy to come by the first meeting. I think there's people betting the over because they say, it was pretty low scoring last time. It'll reverse itself this time. I'm not so sure. Colorado, Oregon, we stay in the Pac-12 here. Oregon, 6.5-point home favorites, 137 is the total in this matchup. Money coming in here on the Ducks as this number's moved a couple of points from where it once was. Oregon's off that loss at Stanford. Just when you think Oregon's revving into form here, they have a really bad loss there at Stanford. They'll be looking to bounce back, though, from that here. Classic Oregon. Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you what, right now, this has not been good on the road for this Colorado team, not one bit. Their only road win was against that same Stanford team, and their last three Pac-12 road games, 0-3 straight up, 0-3 against the spread against UCLA, USC, and Cal. The USC and the UCLA losses, both of them 7 points or more. I mean, I wanted to back Oregon here. I really did, but the number kind of crept up a little bit, up to 6.5. I'd maybe, either scale back on the amount you put on it or pass altogether because that number's creeped up a little bit, but I still like Oregon here a little bit at -6.5. I think they can take care of business. Good bounce back spot for the Ducks. And keep in mind, this team was starting to play some better basketball and get some really nice wins too. The Arizona win was a quality win at home. They went on the road at Utah against the Utes and they beat them by 10. So there's still been more good than bad from Oregon. Just fell into a game where they threw a clunker out there against Stanford. Couldn't make shots, 22 of 58. Hasn't been an issue lately for Oregon. Offensively, they've been better, but they definitely struggled. Correctable mistakes, too. When you have a bad shooting game, it's correctable. Their defense wasn't as good against Stanford, but it had been pretty damn good the two games before that. I mean, holding Arizona to 68 points in the win they had against the Wildcats tells you this team can play very solid defensively when they want to. And let's be honest, Colorado's been held to 61 or fewer in 3 of their last 4 games, and they've been held below 70 points in all but one of their last 6 games. So it's not a Colorado team that's in any sort of offensive flow right now either. So I would lean Oregon as a favorite, and I would lean under. I think this is a game where points will be a little bit harder to come by. What do you think here, Connor?
That's where I looked at here. I don't think the points with the flow will be flowing here. It just hasn't happened. That first game was horrible. Colorado beat up them, but that's how they're so good at home, 68-41. Oregon has been playing better even after the bad loss. I don't trust them knowing that it's stretched now. Could they cover here and win by 10? I think so. And that's where I'd lean. They don't shoot it well from 3. They're a horrible free throw shooting team. I don't really want them, even though that's my lean. And yeah, I do like the under here. Colorado on the road has just been ugly. Away from Boulder has not been nice to them. So I lean under.
All right, leaning toward the under, and I agree with that. All right, we continue along. Next up, back to the Big Ten here, Purdue and Michigan. This is a pretty good matchup here. We've got Purdue 5-point road favorites, 135 is the total in this game. I mean, this is classic, old school quality, big on big basketball here. When you talk about Zach Edey of Purdue and Hunter Dickinson of Michigan, how good of a matchup is that going to be? If you like your old school quality big versus quality big, and hey, you don't see shit like this every day anymore. Everybody likes to go small ball, guard-oriented basketball in 2023. You're going to see something a little different here, which is nice to see that. And the thing is, too, both of these teams, the focal point of their offense is both of their bigs. Dickinson for the Wolverines and, of course, Edey for Purdue. So it's going to be a fascinating matchup here in this game. Purdue is certainly on a roll, 6 straight wins, covered in 4 of those 6 victories. They did have a close one against Maryland at home, 58-55 in their last game. Definitely with these guys playing through their big men, you would expect offense is going to be a little bit tricky to come by here. I think that's why we're seeing this total. I agree fully with the under money in this game. It's gone 139 down to 1. It's going to be that kind of game. I think possessions will be valued. Pace won't be high on either side. Both teams have been kind of trending under, 4 straight to the under. For this Purdue team. And look at some of these games, 128, 127, 110, or not 110, that Minnesota game, 100 for total points, and then 113 in the game against Maryland. They're not even cracking, anything close to 136 as far as their recent games and total points. So the under is probably a decent play. I might give Michigan a look here in this game because you look at Michigan, they've covered 4 straight against Purdue. They've won 3 of the 4 games. The only Purdue win last year at home was by 6. They haven't had an easy time of it against the Wolverines. And if you're Michigan, you're sitting here at 11-8 overall. Your conference record has been, mediocre. I mean, your last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 conference games, you're 4-3. You need to, to really put some things together if you want to even garner tournament consideration at this point. And you need something like this to get you going. A quality win. This would be one for Michigan. I think you get utmost effort, sense of urgency, everything. Home court, of course, as well for Michigan. And like I said, last 4 meetings, 3 of the 4 won by Michigan. The Purdue victory was by 6. So, and you got to lay 5 with Purdue on the road. I think it's a Michigan spot. So for me, Michigan +5 and under the total. Although you're not getting the number you were able to get this morning or last night. What do you think here, Connor? Purdue, Michigan.
Yeah, well, with Michigan State, I'm going to either stay off or keep that light. I've thought about this a ton today. I think Howard goes, Jet Howard. I think he's the key. I mean, other than Dickinson has some success against Edey last year. You mentioned the scores. He had success against him, and they're going to need it because he's a guy, he can't get in foul trouble, and they need him to rebound because they're just a bad rebounding team, Michigan is. We know how great Purdue is. I think Jet Howard plays, and I think he's just, without him, they're pumped, they're at home, but, 14, 15 points a game. He moves the rock, kind of forward swing man. So I think he needs to be in, and I think he will be. I know his ankle, I've been going through it all today, if he'll be in, and it looks like he is. The x-rays were fine. I think he goes. And if he is, I'm waiting here. I'll be on Michigan. I think that you got to be up for this one. And I haven't been on Michigan at all this year. I haven't really liked them, but I think it's a good spot. I do lean under. Purdue is winning ugly. They shoot it bad. They're still winning. The defense has looked really good. The dog's been good in the series. So, yeah, to me, it's as soon as I think he's in, I'm already with Michigan here, +5.
All right, like in Michigan as well here in this game, Connor Mack. All right, let's go back to the Pac-12 now. Arizona State and Washington. We've got the Arizona State Sun Devils, slight road favorites here, about 2.5 across the board. 143 the total in this game. Total's been bet up significantly. I agree with it. Arizona State is definitely trending that way over the total. Offensively, they've been a little bit better. The last two games, not so much, but still went over the total because the defense fell apart against the Bruins and the Trojans. But again, two pretty good teams. I think here on the road against Washington, you'll see this team be able to score. Washington's trending over. This zone is not exactly held up the last few games. They give up 78 to Cal. That's not good. 86 in a road loss against Utah. That isn't very good either. And keep in mind, too, I think when you look at the situation, too, with their big center out Washington, a little smaller ball, a little faster pace as well from Washington. That's, I think, contributed to their, pace and their tempo and their possession numbers going up. And that's why we've seen them trend over as well lately. So you got two teams streaking toward over the total lately, and that's the way I would play it here. In this game, I lean Washington as well. The revenge spot, Washington lost by 8 at Arizona State earlier this month. Now they're back home. The road home record is solid for Washington, 9-4. I think the home dog is not a bad consideration here. Washington plus 2.5, but I like the total even more, up and over 143 in this game. What do you think here, Connor?
I was hoping there's more. This opened 1, and obviously it moved to Arizona State. I don't know how much this team, though, is the same. I know home losses, UCLA and SC, they go on the road. They might be up for it. I don't trust Washington. If there's ever a spot, though, it is at home. Yep. This to me was like if they were getting, I was thinking if this was a couple weeks ago, they didn't have those back-to-back losses. This seems like it'd be 5.5, right?
Yep.
Right around there, 4.5.
Yep.
And it opened 1. Obviously, it moved to Arizona State, who needs a win on the road. Tough one for me here. I agreed on the over. It just has moved. When I looked at it last night, I thought 139. All these teams are trending to the over. I don't mind it. I didn't get on it. It's moved too much. I think it's just kind of right around there. If you look at a lot of games, it's right around this number, 144, 145.
All right, excellent. Good stuff. So, definitely I think we'll see some points scored here in this one. All right, we've got 2 games left for the marquee games. Arizona, Washington State. Now next up, Wildcats and Cougars. We've got Arizona 5.5-point road favorites, 144.5 being the total here in this game. I'm laying it with Arizona. Even with, normally after a big couple of wins like they had at home against the LA schools, USC and UCLA, you think to yourself, oh boy, they're going on the road now. They're facing a little bit of an inferior team. They're going to maybe go through the motions, sleepwalk a little bit, let down spot. All that stuff creeps into your mind a little bit for Arizona in a situation like this. I don't think it's happening tonight. Not when Washington State handed Arizona only their one and only previous conference loss, 74-61 in Tucson back on January the 7th. I don't think you'll see Arizona play worse than they did against Washington State earlier this month at home. I think that's meaningful. Revenge spots get so overblown, right? So overplayed, so overhyped, talked about too much. And I think, if you fixate on it too much, you'll get burned betting revenge spots. This is meaningful revenge, okay? This is Arizona's only team that they've lost to in conference play. I think they want to get back at them. The number's reasonable. It's only laying 5 here on the road. We've seen Arizona be able to go on the road and take care of inferior teams, win and cover at Arizona State, won by 9, win and cover at Oregon State. They won by 12 in that game. I like Arizona here. They get it done. They win by enough of a margin to cover this number, and they avenge Washington State beating them earlier. And plus, Washington State has been absolutely terrible here these last 2 games they've played. Now, they were on the road. Their home record's not bad. They've been actually a decent point spread team at home, but not good at Colorado or at Utah. And this time around, Washington State, rather, will have Arizona's full attention. Maybe that wasn't the case in the first meeting. So I like the Wildcats here laying a modest -5. What do you think here, C-Mac, Arizona, Washington State?
Let's hit up the chat. Shout out to everyone in the chat. If you haven't, hit the like button. We got over 150 in here. That's all we ask for. Hit the goddamn
Hit
like
the
button.
Like button. Come on, run it up.
Bingo, Bingo. Joshua, what's going on, my man? Paulo, MDR, good to see you. Smoke Wolf, Jose, writing shit in the chat. Jason Folk, MMA Locker Room, good interview. My guy last night, Nunya, everyone up in here. Nasty Nate, he's getting on, yeah. Providence got it done. Rhode Island, big win. Justin, JB, Baby, Ram Yankee, Sammy Calmer is always in here. Don Play, good to see you. Nuke Worker, living the retired life. Shout out to my guy, Jefferson C. Anybody else I missed? Appreciate it. Justin, you just become a member too, if I missed him. Thanks, my man. If you just hit it up again or I missed it. Yeah, Arizona. That loss they had in this one. There is the revenge in this line moved up. I think they bounced back. Washington State, to me, is just so slow. In Arizona, all of a sudden, I think the total's too high. Let's just get to that here. I'm on the under 144.5. I don't know how. Washington State they're so slow offensively, but they can hit threes at times. Will keep them around, because if they don't, it'll really go under. They're not a team that's good from the 2-point inside. So yeah, even if Arizona wins, I don't know if they get past 70, 75. I love this under 144.5.
Yeah, it's been also under in the head-to-head matchups with these two teams. We saw 122 last year, or 2 years ago. Last year we saw 132, and earlier this year we saw 135 with these two teams. So not even close to getting over this number. So the under might be the way to go here. Certainly, neither of these teams, when they've matched up head-to-head, have seen a total get close to getting over 145. All right, next up we've got Utah, Oregon State. On the last game here of the marquee games that we'll be discussing. Utah, 7.5-point road favorites, 129.5 the total in this Pac-12 matchup. Utah, 3-3 straight up, 3-3 against the spread on the road. We can't be all that surprised. They have taken care of business against the bad teams, and you got to consider Oregon State more of a bad team at this rate. So they won and covered on the road at Stanford, at Cal, lost straight up in ATS on the road against UCLA and USC. They did win both of their home games and covered just recently against the Washington Schools, Huskies, and Cougars. We'll see how they fare here on the road. Oregon State beating up Cal and beating them up big time, 68-48 in their last game. Let's see if they can return home and get the job done. As a home underdog, this team's been a little sneaky, to cover some numbers when they've been getting a fair amount of points. Against Arizona State, 9-point dogs, lost by 5, 15.5-point dogs against Arizona. Just slipped inside the number and lost by 12 in that game. So they've been good in this home underdog role. And, with Utah up and down on the road, but that's what makes this game tough is Utah's wins and covers and better performances on the road have been against weaker teams. They are better talent-wise. They've got length advantages. Certainly the better defensive team as well compared to Oregon State. No question about that. They should win this game. It's a question of, do they cover the 7.5? It could go either way because Utah's been hit or miss on the road, and Oregon State has actually covered some numbers as home dogs. Utah, is worth noting, has Oregon coming up after this, so it's not the greatest Utah spot. I guess I'd lean slightly to Oregon State, but it's not something I am overly excited about. Connor, what do you think here with the Utes and the Beavers?
Yeah, Utah is better, but on the road, I don't want them away from Salt Lake. And this Oregon State team's not very good, but at home here, I'm going to take the 7.5 and try to make this game slow down. You mentioned Utah good on defense. Oregon State not bad. I think to keep this in the 60s, I'm not going to be on the total, at 129.5, right around there. But I think they hang tough here tonight. So I took the 7.5 with the Beavers.
Yeah, it's just too much of a inconsistency away from home, away from the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City for Utah. And there's another team that can get into scoring droughts, especially on the road. We've seen it at times from Utah. It's not necessarily what you always want to see out of a 7.5-point road favorite. All right, that's the marquee games. Connor, it's a big mid-major type of slate. What games on the card do you like tonight?
Yeah, I wrote some of these down that I'm either leaning or playing. Fairfield, Mount St. Mary's is a lean for me. Even at 124, I'd be on the under. Nothing there. I haven't got there at Elon plus 10. I think this needed to be 13, 14 for a full go. But I looked at that. Southern Utah. I don't know if I'm going to go first half full game, split this. I think they bounced back after a horrible shooting night. Um, I'm looking at Loyola. I don't love the number really at 5.5. So that's what I got to look into a little bit more. What else here? San Diego Northridge. I think you only play the under 128 if you're in that. Pepperdine, to me, points, points, points. Even at that number, I think it could get over. The extra board, I was looking at Radford a tiny bit. I think they can get it done at home. And Stetson on the extra board. I'm looking at them with the points.
All right, there we go. So a few looks there for Conor Mack. All right, in terms of games for me here tonight, I'm on a bunch of them. We'll start with Monroe and Marshall. I like the over there, 149. I'm on Florida International as a slight home dog against Western Kentucky, 2. It's down to 1.5. I like Florida International. I like the over there as well. I like the over with Coastal and James Madison. I think Coastal might actually hang inside that number, too. I mean, James Madison's not been automatic anymore, laying the bigger numbers. Milwaukee Wright State over. I like Florida Atlantic -9 against Middle Tennessee State, one of the best teams all season long from a point spread standpoint. They've had a great season, those Owls. I think they'll be able to cover the number. I'm on Fairfield. You mentioned that game. I'm on the Fairfield side. Fairfield money line there, -130,
Real quick,
-135.
On the Fairfield will be playing good basketball.
Yes.
Now they're laying points, and this has already moved a 1.5. FAU just keeps getting done. That's what it keeps me off. They just keep even laying a number and barely covering it.
Yep.
So in the end, I had to stay off. It should be, I think, a pretty good game. We'll see if FAU can keep rolling and covering.
Yeah, and that's what they've been doing. I laid the number with Towson. Speaking of laying the number with Towson, I'm on them against Northeastern. Towson's really starting to play better. They might lay a whipping on Northeastern in that game. I didn't hang around, or I should say wait, or for 13. I actually bet it at +10.5 with Elon. I like Elon. Elon's been my little covering machine lately, getting these big numbers. And who's Hofstra to be trustworthy of laying 10 points on the road with a very up and down season for Hofstra so far? So I like Elon there, +10 in that one. What else have we got? I'm a little small bet on SMU, even though they're not very good, but Memphis is very shaky as a double-digit favorite, especially at home. We've seen them fall short in some of these instances. This feels like that East Carolina at Memphis game from a couple of weeks ago. They lose by 10 in this game, SMU, and they get inside the number. So I think 13 is a lot for Memphis to be laying there. So I like SMU a little bit with the 13 points in that game. Let's see what else. Troy Lafayette could be a nice under. I know Troy is a decent under. Troy was a good under team in college football with their football team. Same thing with their basketball team. Pretty solid defensive team. So lean under with Troy and UL Lafayette. Georgia Southern, Texas State. Georgia Southern +2.5 might be worth a look. Texas State was facing the team that knocked them out in the Sun Belt tournament last year, and they fell short in that game. So I do worry about them being able to respond in that one. Charlotte and Rice, I kind of like the over there. I'm always interested with the Rice total going over the number. Rice has actually been scrappy at times. So at home, maybe they win that game too. I lean a little to the Rice side in that one. Denver, Oral Roberts, I like over, and it could actually really be a beatdown. Denver has, really struggled at times on the road. Oral can sometimes just lay a whipping on you, but it's a lot of points. It's a lot of maybe, but that was one I did consider laying the big number with Oral Roberts in that game. What else? Grand Canyon, Abilene Christian. That one I kind of leaned to Abilene Christian a little bit. I kind of agree with where the move's going there. 4 down to 3, 3.5.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, Tennessee State, Southeast Missouri State over 155. I like that. Seattle, yeah, +6.5 against Sam Houston. Sam Houston's burned me a couple of times, man. I'm not laying 6.5 with Sam Houston State. That Seattle team and their offensive capability, yeah, give me them +6.5. I agree in that game there. La Tech, UAB. Here we go again. Same old shit, right? I know Jelly Walker, and will he play, will he not play? But they keep betting these games under with UAB. And again, 149.5. I'm going to look against the move with over the total in that game, Louisiana Tech and UAB. Lindenwood, Tennessee Martin. Lindenwood's really scuffling defensively a lot of times, and I could see that one being high scoring. So liking the over there. North Texas, obviously they should roll, but low possession game. That's a big, big number. So I ended up staying off that. And what else on the Portland. I like Portland Pilots plus 6. I know Marymount's cashed for me a couple of times. The over makes sense too in that Portland Loyola Marymount game. There should be points. Same thing with San Diego Pepperdine. It's a very high total, but it probably should go over the number there as
Real
well.
quick, did you
Yeah,
get the 7.5 or are you getting the 5.5?
I got 6.5. I didn't get either.
6.5.
I'm not getting the number
Ah,
now. I didn't get the 7.5, but I got a little better than what's out there right now. So I
hey,
ended up with 6.5.
Maryland's been rolling and took care of Portland, but Portland is finally back a little bit healthy because I haven't been on them since everything kind of happened, and they've gotten railroaded. But they sure like them today. Money's flowing on them, and yeah, it's gone down 2 points.
Yeah, they are expected to get at least one of their key guards back, and there might be
Yeah,
someone else that's about to return as well tonight for Portland. And like I said, this team, last year was just terrific down the stretch. And to me, they look like they're showing signs of getting their shit together because they've won 2 straight against Pepperdine and San Diego. They catch Loyola Marymount too off the win of a lifetime against Gonzaga. They haven't played since then. I mean, this could definitely be kind of the flat
Loyal's
spot
been
for
good though all year. They've had
Marymount.
some good
Yeah,
wins.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. But I think this buy low on Portland because fully healthy, Portland's a pretty good team, I think. Very well coached as well. So I think they could get going. Yeah, I lean St. Thomas, Nathan Serna. I lean San Diego. I only bet the over with San Diego and Pepperdine, but I lean to San Diego there. In a game where 2 defenses are sketchy, I'll always defer to the underdog. Always. And that's the way I'm thinking there with San Diego and Pepperdine. What else on the added board? We're getting down to the end of it. Let me just see here. Cal Poly plus 4.5. I'm interested a little bit. I don't know if Long Beach should be 4.5-point road favorites on the road the way they are of that magnitude. Bakersfield's bad, but now you got to lay with Davis at 8, so that number got away from me a little bit there
Yeah.
in that game. There's another one too that I was thinking of too. I think it was it Montana State? No, it wasn't.
Montana, Sacramento State.
No, not that one. I
Huh?
think actually Montana State may not be playing. Yeah, they are actually. Yeah, Montana State, Portland State. Yeah, I wanted Montana State, but the number quickly jumped 3.5 to 5. I still lean Montana State. I like that team a lot. I think they're playing some better ball. Good offensive team. Over should hit too. Portland State plays up and down, up and down. So I think the over is worth a look too with Montana State and Portland State in that Big Sky matchup in the late night hours. That's pretty much it for the main board. The added board, if you go down and look, you've got Stetson, I think, not a bad look, plus 14 against Liberty. Liberty is big favorites. It's funny. Sometimes you get scared to lay big points with them because they play so slow. But, boy, they've been hammering some teams. I think Stetson's a little bit better than this, though, that they can be good enough. They can keep this within reason and not get blown out. So I like Stetson a little bit there, plus 14. I mean, Long Island's bad. The game should go over the total. You're starting to see a lot of overs again with LIU. I think we could see it there in that game. Francis P.A. Dickinson could be high scoring as well. Longwood Radford, probably a good under. If you ask me, Merrimack is always an under consideration, they've been an under machine, but the problem is you're talking 119. They're definitely adjusting the totals. I like Gulf Coast and Queens over, and Queens. I like Queens to win that game at home, but I like the over 150.5 as well in that game. What else? North Florida, Central Arkansas is a game that should have points in it too. I don't like it nearly as much, but I did place a small bet there on the over. Lipscomb and Jacksonville State. I think Jacksonville State, for as difficult a season as it's been for Ray Harper's crew, they've obviously taken their lumps. Lipscomb laying 3.5 on the road is just, there's too much erratic play out of them. The Bison to trust them laying 3.5. So the Gamecocks, the other Gamecocks, Jacksonville State there, plus 3.5. I like them a little bit. That's it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't mind. Someone put, what do you think here? Hawaii, after going on the road, losing a couple, they are back home. This should be a good game.
Yep.
And if they're short favorite at home, I'm looking their way. Even the Gauchos have been really good. It should be a good one, I think, in the 60s, but I'd still, at home, I'd look Hawaii late.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hawaii, I will not bet against Hawaii at home. Now, look, Santa Barbara has been the class of this Big West, one of the best teams in this conference for years, but Hawaii will be definitely fired up for this, ramped up for this game. There's no question about that. Getting Santa Barbara to come to town. Remember, they beat Santa Barbara by 3 at home last year, 65-62. So I'm with Conor there. Hawaii for me if I were to bet that game. But I warned you though, Hawaii on the island, bet them. Beware of them though when they get to the mainland. And what did I tell you last week? We talked on this Thursday show 1 week ago today. I said it with that Cal Irvine game. Beware taking Hawaii, and sure enough, they lost that game to the Anteaters of Cal Irvine, 76-68. But this is definitely a spot where, Hawaii is definitely in a favorable spot. The price is decent. They just got to win the game. I think they're capable of doing that. What else have we got? Yeah, we mentioned Grand Canyon. I actually kind of like the other side, Abilene Christian. I don't like Grand Canyon there, Don play, but if you're on the other side, that's okay. It's okay to disagree. Weber State and Idaho. Weber State's a team that I've had some success with lately, no question. That you got to just ask yourself, am I ready to trust them as road favorites? I would lean to Weber State. I think they're better than Idaho. Idaho is a little too shaky for my money, but Weber on the road, I prefer Weber as a dog than as a favorite, but they should beat Idaho. I would lean Weber State, but I didn't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, me too. I didn't play it. This is the thing. Yeah, even short, I think they're better.
Yep.
2.5. Trouble scoring.
Yep.
This year. That's just another thing. Even though I do think they are better, I'm not going to bet it.
There we go. And all right, before we get to best bets and wrap up the show, anything else here? Eastern Kentucky. I don't go against Bellarmine as dogs. I like that team as an underdog. They haven't been nearly as good as the last, I would say, handful of games. And Eastern Kentucky is explosive offensively. Bellarmine's a better defensive team. So I understand Eastern Kentucky is good enough offensively. They can win and cover on the road. But Bellarmine's just one of those teams. When they're a dog, I don't go against them. I didn't bet Bellarmine, though, either in that game. I needed more points. So I'm off that game, JB, when it comes to Eastern Kentucky. Davis, Davis, if you got Davis early, good bet against Bakersfield. But now it's up to 8. Bakersfield's still having a tough time, even getting more points than usual. I mean, they're just a really, really scuffling offensive team in particular. So,
but now 8 with Davis, that's just something I don't want at all. That's this team.
No. Now you got to be careful there. Eastern Washington. That's right. I don't think we talked about Eastern Washington's game. Yeah, against Idaho State. Eastern Washington. We talked early in the season. This team actually, when it comes to some of their overs, pissed the hell out of me. It was like, what's the matter? This doesn't look like the same offensive team. I know that they lost, the head coach there that was there a couple of years ago, but now they're starting to ramp up that offense again. The defense still not very good either. They give up 70s, 80s routinely. If you look at Idaho State, they have trouble offensively. I will admit that. But maybe this is a matchup they can get going a bit. And both meetings last year got 147 and 152 in terms of total points. So I came close to the over on that Idaho State Eastern Washington game and close to laying the points, but I didn't do either.
No. You want to answer that, Ian? You're not on Fairfield money line.
Yeah, right? I am. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are?
Fairfield minus 125 at Mount St. Mary's. Look, Mount St.
What are
Mary's
they now?
Is capable, but
minus
125. Yeah,
I was just thinking you were on Fairleigh Dickinson. My bad.
Yeah.
Confusion.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Fairfield. Yeah, Fairfield against Mount St. Mary's. Southern Utah first half. Yeah,
I'm on it.
That. UL Lafayette. Thoughts on? Well, I like the over. I actually think it's a lot of points to be laying with James Madison. They could score against Coastal. Coastal is not a great defensive team, but I think Coastal can score. I lean to the dog, but the bet I like the most is just the full game over. It's 151 in that Coastal James Madison game. I think you'll see a lot of points there for sure. Yeah, Tarleton State, Kennesaw, I don't think they're playing each other. Tarleton State's playing. It looks like. Let me just see here. Tarleton State against. They were here on the board here. Where are we here?
Playing Utah Tech.
There we go, Utah Tech. Yeah, I mean, certainly they should win that. Utah Tech's really hit the shits, but
especially
Tarleton
on the road.
State is a favorite. Yeah, especially on the road. But Tarleton State laying points has been a bad exercise for me this season. So I'm going to pass totally on that game. Kennesaw's got the potential to roll Austin Peay. I don't deny that. Austin Peay is pretty rough right now, but 10.5 is pretty well priced. So I lean Kennesaw, but I didn't bet it. There we go. I think that's it. There we go. Oh, South Dakota. One last one for Daryl Turner, South Dakota, in a little Summit League action there as they face Western Illinois. I think taking the points is the lean for me. I mean, again, not a game I bet, but I'm always a little shaky with that Leathernecks team in terms of they turn the ball over a lot. Sometimes they play too fast for their own good. They make mistakes, turn it over. Defensively, it's sporadic. So I don't hate that look. South Dakota plus the points. Don't hate it. All right, there we go. Good stuff. That is the Thursday card. We appreciate it. Remember, Pubapalooza 2 is coming up. It's just 2 months away. It's the final weekend of March, 24th to 26th. There we go. Look at the events. It's just a get in and get out 3-day event. It's going to be a lot of fun. Par 3 golf tournament, poker tournament, March Madness watch party, of course, at the home base of Pub Sports Radio, Southtown 101, UFC San Antonio Saturday night, Retama Racetrack, where we resuscitated the business there with our attendance last year during the original Pubapalooza, and then closing ceremonies as well. We'll take the torch down or whatever.
Closing ceremonies.
Yeah,
closing. Who's put that, Jose? Is that you?
Let's award some gold medals too while we're at it. Yeah.
Closing ceremonies.
Do a live show together here, most likely.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun. So that'll be fun. We'll all get to be in one room together.
Olympic Games.
And as we've seen in the YouTube chat, the sign-up sheets are available. So if you want to attend, the UFC event, you want to participate in the Par 3 golf tournament, you want to participate in the poker tournament or anything else, sign up as soon as you. First of all, make sure you know you're going, okay? Because I know we ran into some issues last year, right, where someone was putting their name on the sheet, they didn't even know if they were friggin' going yet. Make sure you've got, you're planning on going, you booked a flight, you got plans to stay somewhere. And then you're for sure you're locked in, you're going March 24th to 20th. Then you put your name on the sheet. Then you put your goddamn name on it, as we like to say. Herm Edwards, I remember that coach. Put your goddamn name on it. Herm Edwards from his coaching days, one of his favorite quotes. But there we go. Just make sure you're 100%.
Now he's back at ESPN.
Yeah,
well, normal, back and forth.
Probably be there for a while. I don't know if there's going to be anyone knocking on his door for coaching gigs anytime soon again after what happened at Arizona State. But yeah, Pubapalooza 2, March 24 to 26. Be there or don't.
Questions?
Not. Yep.
DM Jose.
Yep. Exactly. DM Jose for sure. All right. Best bets coming up right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. Southtown 101, when you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke. Southtown 101, manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping of anything on the site at manscaped.com with the promo code PUBSPORTS. All right, best bets here on this Thursday. Lots to choose from.
Get it.
CMAC, where are you going for your best bet or best bets for tonight?
I'll just go one. Arizona, Washington State, under 144.5. I think that game stays under tonight. That's it. Big show. Michigan needs to step up, my man.
Yes.
Shout out to Big Show.
This is a big, big game for Michigan. Like, if they want to turn their chances around of making a late season run and getting into at least the at-large conversation for the tournament, they need a win like this tonight here against Purdue. That's where it's got to begin. So that's a huge game for the Wolverines tonight. So Conor's going with Arizona and Washington State under 145 for his best bet here on this Thursday college basketball slate. Best bet for me, as I look down the board, some decent opportunities here. I'm just looking at it. Again, we got it done with Tulane. What an unbelievable comeback that was. You never count a game done after the first half. That's what that game reminds you of, is that you never say your bet is screwed after the first 20 minutes of the game. There's always time for things to change. I'm going to go to Monroe and Marshall. I like that total. It's been bet up a little bit, 147. It's up to 149.5 now. Bet Online still got 149.5. It's 150 in some other spots, but I think it gets there. Marshall scores like crazy at home. I'm going to push the pace. Monroe can sometimes struggle defensively, and Marshall's going to get their pace. And if they do, this game's probably going to get into the 150s. So let's go with a total here. UL Monroe, Marshall, over 149.5 for my best bet here for this Thursday night college basketball slate. That'll wrap up this edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. Appreciate everyone in the chat joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. And make sure you tune in again tomorrow. Cab will step in for yours truly tomorrow along with Conor Mack, and they will break down the Friday slate, 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you want my insight on the college hoops card tomorrow, I'll be reciting it with Jimmy the Bag on Betting with the Bag tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure you tune in for that. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you again tomorrow right here on Pub Sports Radio.